Valentina Kerman is in the hot seat, and she's going to do what Bob Kerman didn't do. Hopefully, she might just end up. Okay, well, worst case scenario, Valentina gets a crater named after herself. Ultimate Steve here. Welcome back to episode 2, possibly 3, depending on how I edit this. I need to turn over and do my gravity turn. I don't even know what I'm calling this series, but we're doing. That's too much gravity turn. Okay. Valentina might get a new crater on Kerbin named after herself. Why is my okay? I was not cheating in this save. I just came back from doing something else where I needed. Actually, hold on. I didn't turn off electricity. Yeah, not that that's gonna matter, but like I was doing a bunch of stuff with ion engines recently and very high time warps. In fact, my time warp level is probably still set at 100x, so I'm gonna go and just go back to normal physics warp, so I don't accidentally blow up my entire ship at 100 times physics warp. Anyway, alright. I did it again. Okay, since my debug menu was on and stuff, and I wasn't quite ready, I'm going to restart that flight. Because really, I'm just going to land under parachute safely, and then Valentina's going to go up again. Speaking of which, yes, this mission is meant to be a one-way mission, but like the parachutes are there just in case of a launch abort like that. So this is not the same rocket as I had before. It is a very similar rocket, but what I did is I took the absolutely massive correction stage, I scaled it down, and then I scaled down everything else accordingly. We might not actually have enough fuel to get into orbit. It'll be close. And because of that, well, number one, I have to make sure I absolutely get my apoapis above the atmosphere here-ish with these first 2 stages. And then number 2, I have to make sure I jettison these with a spin correctly. Alright. Engage the roll. Okay, fire the engine. Nice. And this should get us the remaining 20 kilometers out of the atmosphere. Stop spinning! It's not that hard. It's just SAS. Okay. Man, I wonder what it is about prograde SAS that makes it flip out like that. And then like normal SCS is just fine. Okay. 60, 61, 62, 63. Oh, yeah, we're gonna get to 70, so I'm going to over a bit more. Pick up some more sideways velocity, but not too far because then it will drag down back below 70. 80, 70, 60, 50, 40, 30, 20, 10. Okay. We can detach that, and we're not going fast enough, are we? Okay. Valentina, we can salvage this, I promise. I can't promise that. Okay, so now, previously we had way too much delta V at this stage. Now we're going to have way too little. So we're currently on track to be about 100 meters per second short of orbit, which might mean I have to fire my MUN rocket booster now instead of like when we want to go to the MUN. So, but like, we still have a correction stage, although I did cut that correction stage down to like 100 meters per second because everything else, like how high it was just ridiculous. So, it's gonna be iffy, but not impossible. 900, 1900, 2000. Hold on, we might actually make it. 2100. Okay, 13 kilometer periapsis. That's not high enough. Fortunately, we are kind of in line with the MUN if we go really high. So let's fire it. Unfortunately, this stage doesn't really have enough to go to the MUN really high because I sized it exactly for a MUN. In fact, it was a little bit low. Valentina, if only you hadn't eaten that sandwich this morning, you would have made it to orbit. That's how close it was. To be fair, that's the last fresh food you're going to have for a long time. Wait a second. You're scheming. You're trying to make it so that you can come back and have more sandwiches. You'll get more sandwiches eventually if you do a good job. Okay, so that didn't reach the MUN. I don't even know 100. I have 53 in this stage. Okay, on the next pass around, if I do a 53 meters per second burn prograde, what does that give me? 46, 53. That's not going to be enough. That's not going to be enough. Okay, so if I do this... Oh, that's so close. Okay. I just keep waiting, and eventually I might be close enough to be an encounter, because that's definitely inside the sphere of influence of the MUN. Oh, there was a MUN encounter. Oh, and now I'm getting drift. because it's so far out in the orbit. Okay. Anyway, that was fun. Let's go back to Kerbin because we're not getting to the Mun on this mission. Valentina lives to die another day. Let's just decouple this and deorbit and hopefully don't get put on it. I don't have a heat shield. I have a big girder where my heat shield is supposed to be. Fortunately, I can use the big rocket motor to slow down. But I time warped into the atmosphere. I time warped into the ground. I time warped a space height below the ground. Well, I'm sorry, Valentina. You're not going to get those sandwiches. Oh no. I'm sorry, Val. I'm so sorry. I just realized, because she technically survived the time where I had to revert, that would have been her third mission. And she would have been free. Okay, so now we only have Bill left. So we're gonna need some more volunteers. Who is the coolest name? Verkin. That sounds cool. Roscan. Hadman. Verler? I thought that was Verrier. Nielbels. Subald. I love that. Subald. Subald, you're up next. And I could fix this intelligently, or I could just ever so slightly slide up the fuel slider to get an extra bit of delta V on that stage. And then after that, how would I add just a little bit more oomph on this stage? I mean, I guess I could like put one solid rocket booster on one side and another solid rocket booster on the other side. I missed that first one. And have a little bit more oomph on the first stage. There, SRB Mun Mark III. Subald, you're up. Where is Subald? I don't know if anyone's actually going to survive to retire. Alright, Subald, are you ready to die? 3, 2, 1. Lift off. Okay, so take number 4, 5? I've lost count. Count the gravestones in the cemetery, and that you'll get a good idea. You know what I really should do? I should have turned the thrust limiter on these down. Because there's no way that this fast through the atmosphere is optimal. Like, what's my atmospheric... Actually, hold on. My atmospheric efficiency is, like, not even 100%. So I guess an optimal thrust-to-weight ratio would be even higher. Okay, now it's getting close to 100. And... So, wow. The optimal thrust-to-weight ratio is actually really high if the Kerbal Engineer readout is to be believed. I don't know if I believe that, because I'm still not entirely sure how it's calculating atmospheric efficiency. Alright. Spin. I probably should have done this earlier. Reduce drag and release. There, the what should we call that? The Russians call it the Korolev cross. I could call it the Bob cross instead of Bob Ross because Bob died on like one of the first missions that had this. The Bob cross. Okay, I should fire this engine. I should have fired that engine like 5 minutes ago. Because I need this to get my apoapsis above the atmosphere. Because unless it's like right there, I can't do that with the upper stage. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, and now I can go sideways pretty much all the way. No, don't. Okay, I'm pointing down. I don't need to point down. Right, because I don't have the fin control anymore. I mean, I still have the fins, but like they're not going to do me anything because I'm basically in space at this point. All right, we're going to fire the engine in approximately now. Okay. Subald is going to the Mun. Not yet. Subald is still having trouble getting into orbit, I guess. We have an extra 300 meters per second of delta V, though. So I'm going to try and feather it back and forth just a little bit in order to, what's the word, bleed off some delta V. But I'm still going to have, like, a decent amount extra. And I'm also going to have a decent amount in my transfers. Now I have too much delta V. Okay. One idea is to strap 2 to the side and then decouple them when I'm in orbit, but then I have the extra mass, the dry mass of the boosters I don't need. Okay, so we have a 931 meters per second stage, and we need to encounter the Mun with 931 meters per second spent. That's 644 spent. I could do it on this side in a few orbits to make it a little bit better. So I need to find out how to waste another 70 meters per second of delta V. Alright. That is pretty close. I feel confident in saying that's basically 931 right there. So we're going to approach the node, and how long is this burn? This burn is going to be 21 seconds, so we want to wait until 10 seconds before the node, but we have a few orbits to wait, actually. Okay, it's this orbit, 10 minutes, and we said we're going to start 10 seconds before. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2. I don't want to time warp too fast because I really don't want to exit or out of it. Okay, so let's get prepared for the burn. I'm going to jettison the booster like there. Okay, that took like 0.2 meters per second off of it, but whatever, that's fine. We're going to overshoot a little bit, but we have a whole 53 meters per second of one-shot correction. So we should still end up in the moon's sphere of influence. Time over a little bit further. 12, 11, fire! Okay, Subal, you're going to the mun. And I can't say anything about coming back, but really, you'll be the first person, even if you land successfully and then crash later, or like get closer than Bob did, that's still great, because like, would you rather like have this agony drag on for like another 2 missions that you're contracted for? Or, oh, that's perfect! That is like the most perfect thing I've ever seen. Okay, so how fast are we going there? 874 meters per second, which is actually a bit faster than anticipated. So braking stage only has 816 meters per second. Now 816 plus 53 is 869. So we're gonna crash into the surface at like 5 meters per second, actually a bit more, because we, so note to self, increase the fuel, actually no, that fuel's maximum, huh. Note to self, we have a little bit too little fuel in the correction and braking phase. Oh right, we have a whole other orbit to go. Now please say we're gonna be on the day side. We're gonna be on the night side. Okay, if I go radial out and spend my decoupler right here, what does that do to our landing site? 3, 2, 1, bloop. That doesn't do much, so we're still going to be landing in the dark. And we need every ounce of fuel we have, so... I will say Subald has a better chance than Bob did. I'm not going to say much more. But Subald definitely has a better chance than Bob. Okay, so I'm going to bring my impact time up here, because I put the thrust limiter on the final stage down to like 10%. So we still have like a full minute of burn on the lower stage, which in retrospect was a wrong decision because I thought I'd be coming in like gentle and sideways, but no, I'm coming in really hot, and I was going to use my correction to make it gentle and sideways, like I tried to do with Bob, but I don't have enough fuel, so I have to use my correction stage as my landing stage. I did not plan this very well. Wait a second. Landing. Impact time 21 seconds! That was a mistake. Okay, fire the engine... slow down vertically because we, this is not good. And I'm burning off retrograde, so no, shh. Okay, if you want to survive at all, we have to burn all the way up here. Subald, I'm sorry. If only I'd looked at the number earlier. This stage for landing is not enough. So we can either lighten this, which I don't think that's really feasible to do. Lightening this. I suppose we could go down to 1 battery, but that's not going to save us much delta V at all. So let's go back to 2. We can take the parachute off, and that gives us enough delta V. Sure, because if we're re-entering Kerbin, we can just use our EVA chute. We can use 1 solar panel. And now we have significantly more delta V than we did before. We can also use the smaller decoupler, the TD. We don't even have that unlocked, so we cannot use the smaller decoupler. 863, that is significantly more than we had before. We can also, we don't want to remove the chute because of abort capabilities. That would be just cruel, which is why we're going to, no, we're not going to. We're not going to remove the chute. We could remove the EVA pack, which means I can't cheese it, but that also means I can't cheese it. Thrust limiter. I do think there is some merit to having it like lower thrust, so we have more than like 5 seconds to like maneuver, because like that's an 8-second burn normally. I think I'm gonna set it at like 33, so like 3 times what it was before. That'll allow us to react a little bit without like not being out. You know what I mean? But the thing is, okay, what's this now? Our correction stage was at like 53, it's 55 now. I'm gonna make that a 100 meters per second correction stage. Because there's no way we can't waste 100 meters per second in some direction when we need it. 932, that's going back down to 848, I guess. Which is 860 for a transfer, but we can make sure to eject in the same direction we're going. However, I am going to slightly reduce Okay, first of all, thrust limiters on these are going like down to like what you call it, 80 or something ish, and then these I'll just take like some fuel out to 574, and that should make up the difference ish. And I still have a decent, really good thrust weight ratio. Okay, random number lottery. Who's going on the mission? We have 5 willing test subjects. I'm going to look at the seconds hand on my clock here and see 2. 42 seconds. So, Virkin, you're going to the Mun one way or another. Okay, enough talking. Let's go. All right, Virkin. That's you're. I'm not going to tell you what attempt you are. Maybe I should have reduced the retirement criteria to 2 missions. Okay, to be fair, I do. Hold on. Once we get Separatrons, I initially expect our mortality rate to go down slightly, but eventually it'll go back up because we'll be doing harder missions. So these guys kind of have the worst end of the deal, the early adopters. Like, you know, early airplane pilots had a lot less safety than we do these days, and they were still lining up. Just in case anyone who's looking to employ me in the future watches this video, this is not how I am, like, in, like, relation to, like, actual loss of life during spaceflight. It's just a persona I put on for YouTube, because it's entertaining that way. If you want to see how good I can be at preserving life, you should check out my hardcore series. Okay, so, spin around and decouple, and then fire this stage. Okay. It's a sunrise. It's a really cool looking sunrise. I've been seeing those new volumetric cloud posts all over Reddit and YouTube. I can't wait for that mod to be released to the public. That's gonna be so cool to like fly through those. My GPU is gonna cry even more than it already is. Sorry, buddy. Are you all doing all right? Okay, good. My GPU is smiling. Hopefully, in like happiness and not like anger. It's a good smile, not an evil smile. I promise. Maybe. I can't promise that. Wait, does anyone speak GPU? Besides the motherboard, I guess. The motherboard speaks GPU. Okay, that stage has been separated, and we are ready to continue. Okay, so approaching apoapsis. And right about now is where we usually fire this engine, but I'm going to take it over a little bit first. Someone's running a machine outside. I don't know what that is, so I'll just speak louder. And my game has done that wonderful thing where all the engines stop making noise now. I think. Okay, never mind. They are making noise. It's just really quiet for some reason. At least in my headphones. It might be not the same for you. Just like after I run KSP for a while, for some reason, all audio like from the engines stop. Okay, we're in orbit. Nice. And we are in a bit too much of an orbit. Okay, so if we burn everything right now, we have 848. Burn in 45 minutes. That'll put us pretty much directly on a collision course for the Mun. But how fast will we be going? And that's pretty much perfect. So we can use our correction stage for actually correcting. Wait, never mind. I was reading the wrong maneuver node. Shoot. That's 1.5 kilometers per second. So nope, we're not going to go right now. Okay, so this should put us like dead on, like straight into the Mun. So I think I'm going to try landing that way instead of landing the other way, which is kind of unwise. I could use the correction stage to correct. Okay, but you know, Firkin signed a waiver. Oh, I'm gonna miss the node. I'm gonna miss the node. 6. Okay, whatever. It'll be fine. We have like a full 9. Okay, whatever. We're 9 seconds late. That's not gonna matter too much in the grand scheme of things, and we can use a correction stage. It shouldn't matter that much. We should still end up in the lunar sphere of influence. We're also going to burn a little bit less than we wanted to because I was burning off node for a few seconds there. I just realized I still haven't gotten the low space science around the Mun. Okay, actually no, we burned a little bit too much. So we should still be on a collision course. Yeah, actually we're on a more direct collision course. So how fast are we going to be going here? We're going about 821 meters per second, which is like significantly like we have that much. We have more than that much. We just have to be sure to, like, actually use it. Like, we just have to be sure to time it right, because vertical descents, there's not going to be any room for error here. Here we are. No! That was time warp error. I was pressing slow down and I sped up. We had a chance. We're good. Okay, hold on. No. Okay, I could have landed that one. That one was what I could have easily landed had I not fat-fingered the stupid keyboard.